I've set the goal. We're gonna go in this together and hit 1 million followers by the end of the year. And at first, I still remember like it was yesterday. You were like, at first you had a bit of doubt. You're like, wait.
But we were talking on the phone, yes, and we would just be like, holy crap, this is going down.
Fouad Busitani. At just age 21, he has managed to gain over 2.4 million followers across his social media platforms. At a young age, he went through a lot of trauma. How he managed to manifest Garyvee onto his podcast.
She looked at me and she was about to cry. She looked at me, she was like...
On today's episode of the Inspired Man podcast, I'm joined by Fouad Busitani, who is popularly known as Mentallygreat on his social media platforms. At just age 21, he has managed to gain over 2.4 million followers across his social media platforms. At a young age, he went through a lot of trauma until he tapped into a world of great mindset. We dove into mindfulness, how meditation improves your mindset, how to stay positive consistently, how he managed to manifest Garyvee onto his podcast, and a lot more. So without further ado, I'm Jats, and this is the Inspired Mind podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Inspired Mind podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by someone who has an enormous amount of following across his social media. That's over 2 million followers. And he's now on a mission to help people unleash their full potential. I'm super excited to have Fouad.
I'm super happy to be here. Jats, as you know, we've had a huge... we went through a long journey, me and you together, from the start till now.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I feel like it's so inspiring to see that we were able to be at once at a place where we're like, is it possible to do this? And then just do it and get it done. And I feel like it's a pleasure to be here again.
100%. I mean, we go back probably, like as you said, it was a year ago when we started, when I saw you for the first time. And I've known you for a long time as well, but I've mainly known you as Mentallygreat.
Yeah.
And not as Fouad.
Yeah.
So I want to know the little bit of context of who Fouad is and where Mentallygreat was born, the environment he was built in.
I feel like when you say Fouad, you also, it's like it leads towards Mentallygreat. I feel like so Mentallygreat started from the start. It was, to be honest, it was a spiritual journey within myself, a personal development journey. I was 14 years old, got bullied. That affected my self-esteem. I built up a lot of self-hate, a lot of just negativity towards myself. And I feel a lot of people go through this where they don't feel at ease with themselves and they feel like there's something wrong. And for me, it started there when I got bullied and I started asking myself, how do I get better? How do I improve? And I feel like when the first thing, noticing that something is wrong takes a lot of courage and saying honest to yourself and saying, look, there's something with me that's not right. And it takes even more courage to say, how do I fix it? And I feel like that's what I did. And that's how my personal development journey started. I started meditating, reading, exercise, everything you can think of in the personal development space. I did it. And then I started impacting some of my closest friends. And I started telling him, look, you should start meditating. You should start reading this book. And I felt like a lot of people around me were getting better from the things that made me improve. And it wasn't in a way where I was trying to say, look, I'm better than you. But it was in a way where I was like, look, I learned this from this book. You could use this to improve this. If you have self-esteem problem, you could do this. If you have anxiety, stress, depression, you can do that. You can read The Power of Now. You could, there's many different things that I learned because of my trauma. And I feel like a lot of people think that trauma is bad. And it seems really bad at the start. You're in front of it, in front of something negative that happened to you. For example, me, my bullying, I got very down because of it. And they used to make fun of my nose, my very close friends, in a way that was kind of funny, but I took it personal.
See, sometimes that funny moment, they don't know that it can hurt you. And I think that's a lot of friends who do this as well, and they don't realize that they're actually hurting that person as well, because they think it's just a joke, but sometimes more than joke. But yes, continue.
Exactly. So I took it personal, and I started having this very negative belief that I am ugly, I am unlovable, I am unworthy. And I feel a lot of people have this within, but they're too scared to come out with it. And I feel like there's 2 steps to it to fix it. The first one is honesty and saying to yourself, there's something wrong. I'm suffering, there's pain, there's suffering inside of me, and it doesn't feel right. The second step is, how do I fix it? What's the solution? So I started trying to find the answer. And I feel like my whole journey has been trying to find the answer to, how can I become good enough?
Become the best version of yourself.
How can I become good enough? Exactly. And I feel like we all try to find different ways to ease the suffering, to calm it down. And most of the times it's just like a surface thing. You're not dealing with the issue of the problem, you're dealing with the effect. So you see people that have anxiety, they start drinking, they take pills, they start doing all these stuff. And I'm not saying that the wrong, you know what I'm saying, that they're wrong.
Why would you say they're not wrong? Let's like in which sense would you say they're not wrong? I mean, you said after that, but at the same time, I do kind of believe that sometimes they're not wrong.
Yeah, I feel like, look, I understand where they come from because I've done it all the time. When you feel anxious, when I feel anxious, I eat. Even I don't look like, like the person who eats when I'm anxious, but I eat a lot. And I could eat, bro, like I order 12 pieces of donuts and eat the whole thing, and I'll eat again. Bro, it's like crazy. Wow. And that's how I used to deal with my anxiety before. And I feel like I just had to be honest with myself and realize, look, that's not the issue. The anxiety is not the problem. The anxiety is the effect. Now, what's the cause of the anxiety? And I started getting deeper within myself. Because most people, when they have a problem, they start pointing at things outside of themselves. It's because of him. It's because of my mom, my dad, my parents. It's because I got bullied. It's because of the trauma. It's because of this, and that. But it takes a lot of humbleness. It takes a lot of honesty. It takes a lot of courage to come and say, maybe it's because of me. So I had to go deep within through meditation. Bro, thousands of hours of meditation. I've been meditating for 6 years. I don't know how long, 6 years. I just finished meditating before coming here. Yeah. And you've seen me when we were together last time. I was meditating. It's like all the time. And I feel like what that allows you to do is it allows you to calm the annoying neighbor in your head.
Yep.
That voice that's always judging, criticizing, blaming everything and everyone around you. And I feel like the moment you calm it down, there's peace. There's no more anxiety. There's no more stress. There's no more depression. There's pure joy, bliss, and peace. And I feel like my whole journey, and I feel like everyone in personal development is always led to spiritual development at the end. And that's been me, bro. I've been talking for hours, but yeah.
No. I mean, I would love you to carry on as well, because what you're just sharing is something I think not many people talk about. For example, spiritual journey, every single person definitely has it, but not many people open about it. And I think it's because people kind of refer spirituality as religion, but it's 2 different things. And when you're in the self-development journey, you have to go through your spiritual journey in order to become a better version of yourself. And there are many amazing points you mentioned. One was building your self-esteem. Now, when you were in such a low place in your time, what steps did you take, or what did you do to kind of figure out that, look, there's a problem here, I need to fix it? Was it like a mantra you kept on repeating, or what was it? To build your self-esteem, obviously.
I feel like a huge step were books. Like, I don't remember a time where I was down or up and I wasn't reading a book. There's always a book. And I feel like I was led with books. I feel like people have a very negative perspective on books because of school.
I think on that note of negativity, I also wanted to ask that, do books really help you, or is it just plays a placebo part in your mind? Or are they really actually helpful in a way it guides you in life?
100% they guide you. And I've seen Andrew Tate talk about the fact you shouldn't read books. They're not, bro, books will change your mindset. The moment you're reading, you're absorbing information. Now, when you absorb information, it gets stored up. And the more you store up positivity and positive things that will lead you in the right path, you're programming your mind to become more positive. So I feel like the statement of Andrew Tate, the fact that he says that it doesn't work and that it's worthless and that you're wasting your time, it's not true, bro. It's a proven fact that you read a book, you change your mindset, you change your life, period. There's no You don't have to debate, you know?
And I think on top of that, what I would add is that once you observe that information, the next thing is just taking actions. What I think Andrew Tate is probably against is that most people just read, and then they think that, oh my Lord, why isn't my life changing? Well, because you haven't taken a damn action. And that's where the main problem is. So going back to more about your journey and you started, you are a big believer in the word manifestation as well, because an amazing story, which I know, but I would like you to share, is how you got Garyvee on a video from just imagining it to actually happening. Like, just tell us the entire story of this.
Crazy, bro. Crazy story. So basically, I was in my room, and at that time, I started the podcast. I don't know if you remember. MG Talk. Yeah.
MG Talk,
I started the podcast, and I was like, bro, I want to get good guests. I want to talk to people that inspire me, people that just, have this burning fire. So one of the guests was Garyvee. So I was there in my room. A bunch of my friends come in the room, and they're like, "What is this? Do you sing?" I'm like, "Nah, bro. I have a podcast. I talk with inspiring people, and that's what I like to do." And then they said, "Imagine one day you get Garyvee," and they started laughing. Bro, I looked at them dead in the eye. I was like, "No, I'm gonna get Garyvee one day," and they just didn't believe, and they just thought, "Yeah, you're just talking shit." And then I started posting on Twitter, which was really weird because I still remember it. Day 1 of trying to get Garyvee. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On day 9, I was going to bed, going to sleep. And I just get this urge, this feeling, this gut feeling to check my phone. So I check my phone, go on Instagram. The first post I see is Garyvee. He says, "I have a secret link in my bio." I click it. There's a Zoom meeting. Garyvee in the middle. Everyone's muted. 300 people. The moment I got in, I was 100%. I don't know how to explain it. It was like, I knew it. I was going to talk to him. And everyone was muted. He would unmute one person at a time, and they would talk and shit. So I don't know what I did. I started preparing my mic, my headphones, my podcasting set, everything. And 20 minutes in, he unmutes me. And I was like, bro, I couldn't talk. I was like, when you talk to someone that really inspires you, and I'm pretty sure you felt that when you talked that to him.
You're wordless, and then you look back, or my friends were looking back at that, and they were laughing at it. Like, what were you doing? Like, why are you touching his hand like that and stuff like this?
Why are you talking that way?
Yeah.
It's like you try to grasp for air. There's no more air, and you're talking to someone that really inspires you. And I was trying to tell him, please, can I get you on my podcast and shit? So at the end, at the beginning, it seemed like a no. He was like, "I'm really busy." Nah. And at the end, at the flip of a switch, he's like, "Okay, we'll do 10 minutes in January." And then we got it done. I talked to him. And it's crazy, bro. Manifestation is real. And it's proven by the CIA. That's the crazy shit.
Yes.
It's proven. It's called patterning. You can go check out the CIA document. And how do you manifest? Is very simple. We're all energetic beings, me and you. Maybe on the surface you have a form, which I call it. It's kind of it's not much compared to the energy inside of you. We're all an energetic being. It's proven. 99% energy. Now, the moment you shift your energy to a higher vibrational plane, you start attracting things that are on that higher vibrational plane. So if you're always stuck in negativity and anger and fear, you can't attract something of love, of abundance, or something positive. So I feel like what I did throughout my process, which was going from negativity to positivity, from fear to love, from all these negative emotions to the positive ones. And I feel like it's inevitable that the moment you go up and you become a vibrational match with whatever you want by changing your energy. And how do you do that? You asked me this question. Mantras, meditation, subconscious programming. And if you check out Joe Dispenza, I've been doing his meditation for, I don't know, 2 years now.
I think you had him on your podcast as well.
No, that's going to be next.
Oh, that's going to be next.
That's going to be next. We're just setting it up right now. We'll come back to this when it happens.
I mean, that completely makes sense. And with meditation, people kind of look at it as a little juju thing, right? But it kind of makes sense. If you think about it logically, what you focus on is what expands, right? So if you focus on the positive, you get more positive stuff coming into your life. So if you just open up your mind and think of meditation as just a logical thing you can do in your day-to-day life, I think it make you a happy person as well. And that's what people forget most about that. Now, with raising your vibrations, right? It can be difficult if you're in an environment of just negative people. And I think a lot of us, or a lot of people listening to this, probably are in this space because they have parents who are always negative. They might have siblings who are always negative to them. And so as much as they're trying, it's really tough. And you probably were in the same space. So what did you do to kind of break out of that? And then you were like, okay, I will make a change in my life. But just before you started doing meditation and everything, what was that first step you took?
I feel like you got 2 points here. I feel like the first one, how do you change and raise your vibration when you're surrounded by negativity, especially in the household and in family wise? I'm going to be honest, and that's the first time I come out with this. I love my mom, but she's one of the most negative person I ever met in my life. She'll question everything. Like, for example, when I wanted to start Mentally Great, that's not going to work. When I wanted to start the podcast, stop wasting your time. When I was filming content, what are you doing? And it's always, she always was there as what I thought was a negative force. And I feel like the only thing you need to change, for a long time I was blaming her. And I thought I was the victim. And why do I have negative parents? And why can't she be positive? And I was trying to change things and then trying to blame people outside of me. And I just had a mindset switch. I was like, what if this is an opportunity for me? What if every time my mother is negative, I could use that as motivation? Free motivation all day. Free motivation. She's like, you can't.
Perspective.
Okay, we'll see. I can't do that. Okay, we'll see. And I always, most of the time, 80-90% of the time, I'll get it done. And then she'll be like, oh, I knew you could do it. Come on, bro. Come on. I love my mom, but I feel like it's just you need a perspective shift from your side. And the moment you start seeing your parents, because for a long time I was like in my spiritual development, I was trying to be more present. I was trying to be more loving, be more patient. And my mom was there at the complete opposite. She was the most erratic person. She always wants to, she can't stop thinking. She's always doing stuff. And she hates when she's confronted with me being calm and at peace. Like I'll say to you this, 2 days ago, I was meditating on a tree. You told me this. Try meditating under a tree. Yes. And I took it, and it really works. It's really powerful.
It's insane.
And I did it, and I was meditating there. I said, "Mom, wait, I'm going to meditate for like 30 minutes." I finished the meditation, and we were going down to have breakfast in the hotel. And bro, I stood there, and I was at peace, bro. When you meditate, it's a different feeling. It's like you are at pure peace. She looked at me, and my mother doesn't like the fact that I'm evolving. I don't know how to explain it because she doesn't see it as something positive, or she's afraid more.
I think it's because her mind or her mindset and upbringing is in from certain place, and she's programmed in a certain way. So everything's what she sees you doing. Sometimes it's so different, and a change in someone's life is always difficult to take in, and that's what she's probably experiencing right now.
100%. I feel like she compares me to the norm. Most people don't meditate. Most people are stressed. Most people have a negative mindset. Most people and don't do all these disciplines that I do on a very, very consistent basis. And so to continue the story, so I was sitting down in the breakfast. I didn't want to eat because I like to fast until 12.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm much more productive, much more focused, much more at peace when I don't eat before I finish work that I need to do. And you should try it out if you don't.
I think it's similar to intermittent fasting.
Yes, it's similar. And it really, because when you're in that hunger mode, it really helps you focus.
And I will give you a pure point. In the office, whenever I eat rice after 12 o'clock, it's game over. I'll be feeling sleepy, and I probably can't get some work done. So it definitely, what you're saying is true.
It definitely works. And I feel like, okay, so I was sitting there in the hotel buffet. There's a whole buffet, bro, that we already paid for.
Wow.
And I was sitting there, I was like, nah, I don't want to eat. I was just drinking water, and I was just at peace. She looked at me, and she was about to cry. She looked at me, she was like, I can't believe you're changing like that. You should stop meditating. It's not good for you. Only old people meditate. Why are you doing this, changing, doing things not like people do? Go get a job. Started bashing me. for no reason. I didn't say anything to her, no word. And I was finished from the meditation. I was just, when you meditate and you're done with it, you're silent, you're calm, you're composed. And I was there. I was like, okay. Say whatever you want to say. Okay. And she got even more pissed. Because the thing about meditation, okay, let me tell you why you should meditate. There's the ego and there's the pure self. The ego self is this fake self-image you have of yourself. So say, for example, Jats, you think of yourself as a guy that is an entrepreneur that does this, that, this name, this label, this whatever. Now, the moment you're attached with this, there's inevitable suffering. The moment you let go of it, you become less ego and more your pure self. And that's literally the aim of every single religion. And the crazy thing is, I don't understand why religion fight over each other.
Yes, it's the
they're all
same
leading
concept.
to the same thing.
Yes.
Which is becoming your pure self, to purifying yourself. So when I come back to my mother and she sees me crying and stuff, because I think she's afraid of change.
Yes.
Within herself. And when you see someone else changing and you're not, it troubles you in a way. You feel like, you're incompetent in a way. And I'm not saying this, my mother is the person I love the most in the world, and I know she loves me also, but she just has a negative program.
I think it's also due to the fact that parents have this safe kind of idea about, like, they want their kids to be safer. And if they see something different in them, they start feeling scared that, okay, what is my kid doing? How will he survive? This is that. And that makes sense. But at the same time, sometimes it can become toxic.
Yeah.
And it can make you feel like you're never going to achieve your dreams. Yeah. And when your own parents are the people who you love the most, the people you live with every single day of your life are the first people to do this, I think that's kind of... if you can go from that to achieve what you have achieved as well, it's literally, after that, there is nothing else you can't conquer. You can definitely go through everything.
100%. And I feel like for you also, same. When
Exactly.
You started the business.
So I completely wanted to say this as well, that when I used to make videos and wear the wig, or like the TikTok videos, my dad used to be sitting there and be like, you're about to go mental. Like, he would say that you're going mental, or you're losing it, and keep doing the job you're doing. Don't do this. And he would sometimes be angry, like, stop doing this. Like, I hate all of this. And I just used to be like, look, let me do it. I'm doing the job as well. I'm sure this is all going to be worth it. Now my dad is more than proud of me. Like, he's like, what are you doing? He will come here, have a laugh, sometimes sit down, this and that. So I think as a parent, it's understandable. But at the same time, as a kid or as a child or as a son or daughter, you need to understand that your parents are not right in the sense of what you want to achieve. You have your own life, your own legacy to build. You're not your father's legacy. You are your own human being at the same time. Now, you were really talking about meditation there. See, with meditation, I think the reason why it puts off most people, because they sit down for one time and they're thinking of, okay, I'm going to focus on my breathing. And the next thing they see is that they're walking with their friend somewhere, and then they're diving into an ocean somewhere. All the thoughts are going from one place to another. So that's what puts most people off. How did you start meditation and then become consistent at it? Didn't you ever get those thoughts like, it's not working, my mind is just wandering around everywhere? How do you kind of overcome that and slowly become a better meditator?
So most people, why they quit meditating so quick is because at the start, they're like, damn, I can stand that voice. Bro, it's like you're facing your demons. And when you're within yourself, with yourself, that's why most people during COVID, they were so, the stress levels, the anxiety levels, the depression just, because they had to be with themselves.
And
that's the hardest thing, to be with yourself.
There's a study as well that most men would get an electric shock rather than being with themselves for 15 minutes. Can you imagine that?
How crazy is that? That proves the point. And I feel like that's why most people are, okay, look, this is just the pure truth. And I like to always be honest and say the truth. During COVID, we all had, during COVID, everyone around you had more anxiety, more stress, more depression. 100%. Okay, because they were with themselves. They had to face their whole shit. And I feel like even though a lot of people saw it had a lot of negatives, the pandemic, but it was a huge opportunity. And I'm I'm a delusional optimist. I like to see myself that way. And I feel like it was a huge opportunity to be with yourself. Look how you're fucked up in some places, and we're all fucked up in our own ways, and try to figure out how to fix this. You know, when you see that you have anxiety, most people, what do? They go and run away from it. They escape. Let's go partying. Let's go do this. Let's go work out.
That's a temporary fix.
Temporary fix. Exactly. The temporary fix. Now, I challenge every single one of you, especially for you're a young person that's trying to fix themselves and trying to grow and trying to just be more at peace, be more loving, be more joy, and just enjoy life and live how you're supposed to live. I dare you to be with yourself and try to meditate. Meditation is the best way to be with yourself. You have your eyes closed. There's no sensations coming in. There's only you and you.
And I think another part, before you, Karen, is also when you close your eyes and you're just with yourself, even if your mind is wandering around, you're still with yourself and you're looking at yourself from the third perspective. And that time you're aware of what you're doing. So if you've done something wrong throughout the day, if you were bad to someone, you'll be analyzing that situation, and you can then go back and be like, I could have done something different here instead of saying this. And you become a better person as well. And meditation is more about long-term as well. I think that's what most people forget.
Everything's long-term. I feel like for the youth right now, the wrong mindset they have is, what's the short-term gratification I could get right now? And that's why social media apps have fucked the brain of little kids, because it's instant dopamine. You don't have to do anything. You get a like, you get a follow, you get a whatever. And I feel like that's
really harmful,
really harming the brains of little children, because I feel like if you want to achieve anything in life, if you want more peace, if you want more success, if you want more anything, and you want to just evolve as a person, it's a long-term game. And you have to shift your mindset from short-term to long-term. And I feel the best decisions you can do in your life is asking yourself, will this benefit me long-term or not?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I feel like you could take all the examples in the world, and I talk about return on investment on everything you do. Smoking, what's the return on investment? Negative. Watching videos all day of negative shit, what's the return on investment? Negative.
Nothing.
Going to the gym, return on investment long-term, positive.
Good
meditation,
body, mental health,
positive. You know, it's like, start viewing everything you do as a return on investment. And the more you do things that have a positive return on investment, the more your life will be better and positive. The more you do things that have a negative return on investment, the more your life will be shit. And I feel a lot of people are like, why is my life so shitty? Why am I so lazy? Why am I so unhappy? Because you're doing all the stuff that have a negative return on investment. So the more consistently you do the positive ones, the more better your life becomes.
And I think everyone knows what right stuff to do, like going to the gym, eating healthy, not watching, I guess, porn and stuff, everything. Yeah. Everyone knows that you shouldn't be doing to live a better life, but people still fall in that trap. And so what would you, like, one advice to the young youth? Because to get into this instant dopamine thing, I still fall for it. For last week, I had spent so much time on my phone that this week I set a goal that, okay, this week I'm not touching my phone except set times. And that's allowed me to have a lot more focus. Yep. And I can kind of have a longer day where my day feels longer and I can get a lot more stuff done. But that's because I have experience of this kind of being consistent, this and that. But how can someone be consistent at one thing? Whether that's to change like one thing at a time or...
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are trying to do too many things at once. Okay, I've built up a morning routine with over 7-8 positive habits, but it took time.
Yes.
It took years. Started with one thing, plus added another. And I feel like if you want to start something, stick with one thing. And I feel like you can trick your mind to doing things, and it's very easy. Say, for example, you want to start going to the gym. Say to your mind, I'm going to go for 2 minutes. It's called the 2 minutes rule. I've made a video. You've made a video too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about procrastination, but that's probably how to avoid procrastination as well.
It's because, why do people procrastinate? Because they see this huge task and they're like overwhelmed. How am I going to get it done? And I feel like a lot of things that very successful people are very good at is chunking. They take this huge task. And remember when we used to...
Time blocking as well.
Time blocking, chunking, which chunking basically means you take this huge goal and you break it down into smaller milestones. And we did that when we were trying to build our community to over 1 million. We were breaking it down every month, remember? And I feel like what that does is it breaks down the big thing that seems so overwhelming to a very small one. And now you're like, your mind is like, okay, I can do this. Now you do that every day and eventually you're finished the long thing. And Will Smith talks about this. He said when he was young, 10 years old, his dad told him, you're going to build a wall. He was like, how am I going to build a wall? It's huge. Look at this. And his dad said to him, you're going to do it one brick at a time. And you're going to lay that one brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And eventually, one brick at a time, he got a wall. So I feel like with every goal you have, if you want to lose weight, if you want to make money, whatever it is, you break it down. You set the big goal. You break it down into smaller milestones. And what I like to do, I don't like to do it on a daily basis because I feel like weekly goals are much better than daily goals.
Yep.
So I like
it's more realistic.
More realistic. And daily, you might have some days where it just doesn't work, some days where it's much better. So weekly, I like to break it down, my yearly goal into monthly goals and weekly goals. Yeah.
I think that's the same thing with money as well. Because when someone thinks of making £10,000 a month, it looks massive. And one thing I always kind of talk about a lot is that our minds are not capable of taking in big numbers. And because that's mainly how we have grown up, of like my parents made like £2,000 a month. So for me to just come up, be 21 years old, or now 23 actually, I still feel like I'm 21, think that I can make £10,000 a month, whereas they're almost 50 years old and they're still making £2,000. It's really difficult. So yes, I think chunking is really important, and the 2-second rule to be more consistent.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the 2020 period where, as you mentioned, like many people had this issue of mental health, and the amount of cases, like it rose by, I think there's a good statistics on Google, probably, I don't even know. And many people called it depression, and many people went into depression. Do you think depression is a real thing, or is just an emotion?
There's clinical depression. There's two sides of it. There's clinical depression where, yes, you have to go to a doctor and there's a lot of things that you need to fix medically. And there's the other side of it where people are so down with themselves that it does feel like a depression, you know? It feels like depression. And sometimes you cannot say this one is real, this one is fake, but you can say that one is medically prescribed and one is it's kind of something
making a change in yourself.
It's kind of you went such a deep rabbit hole that you got to a certain rut place where it's like it feels like depression. So I'm not gonna say like Andrew Tate, depression is not real. I feel like I understand where he comes from.
I think it does make sense. I know many people don't agree with this, but you only get into depression when, let's say, you have set a goal of going to the gym every day and read a book, right? One day you don't go to the gym and you forget to read the book. Now your mind starts making up stuff like, oh my Lord, you just missed a day. Because of that, the following day, again, you have lost that motivation, so you're not going to do that. And as you said, as you go deep down the rabbit hole, you come into a place where you're like, I'm a failure. Yeah. I'm not going to achieve anything in my life. And that's when kind of the thought of depression and everything comes in. But at the same time, someone could medically be depressed as well, or like clinically depressed, not medically depressed. But how, for both kind of depressions, how can you come out of it? Is there something you would recommend someone to do?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I've been at some places in my life where I was in a rut. I wouldn't say depressed, in a rut. And first of all, the people that feel like they have depression should go out and consult an expert. Yes. Try to figure out, first of all, is it depression or is it...
I think rather than calling it depression, because we're not experts in depression,
we're not experts, so
I would say, how do you come out of a rut?
That's a rut, okay. Yes. I feel like a rut. I've made a video on this. I feel like coming out of a rut is always... First of all, why did you get into the rut? So you've got to figure this out. And what
is a rut if people...
A rut is a place where you have no motivation, no energy, you don't feel like doing anything, and you feel like just staying in and sitting in bed all day.
Yes.
Scrolling on your phone. And I've been there, bro. Like,
everyone's been there.
Everyone's been there. So I feel what really helps me get out of this is always getting back to a routine. And especially my morning routine, bro. I am religious with my morning routine. I'll get it done no matter what. and it's like I'll make my bed, I'll do all my like face wash, I'll meditate, I'll visualize, I'll go to the gym, I'll do yoga, I'll take a cold shower, I'll read, and that's when I start my day. Not before doing any. If I never start my day before doing all these 7-8 things, because that's when I'm at the peak of myself. I've done all the things. I'm ready, and I don't touch my phone before doing all these things, because I feel like most people they start their day. Okay, let me check my notification. I don't have notifications, because notifications always bring you out of this moment, and you start being on your phone and you're with someone, and I feel like that's very disrespectful when you're sitting with someone and you're like, bro, I'm with you. We're here together. That might be, and most people I think take shit for granted.
Yes.
Especially time. You're sitting with someone. I'm sitting talking to you, Jats. That might be the last time that I talk to you. I might die tomorrow. Who knows? And I feel like the perspective that really helps me out is taking every day as a blessing, and waking up with the mindset that I am already winning. This is not it's not a day like any other. I woke up, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm already winning. And I love a guy called Charlie. He says, I'm on a winning streak. I woke up, I'm on a winning streak. I did this, I'm on a winning streak. Because I feel like the moment you wake up with this mindset, everything's a plus. The rest is a plus. You make money, that's a plus. You have a beautiful relationship, that's a plus. You start doing what you love, that's a plus. But you're already winning. And I feel like most of life's problems are thoughts. Yes. It's not the situation, it's your thoughts about the situations. The Buddha said it, there's a statue of him behind me. And he said, suffering is never about the thing, but it's about your thoughts about the thing.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like if you're at a place, for example, you broke up with your girlfriend. There's two people. One says, shit, I'm going to lock myself in my room, stay in the dark room, scrolling on social media all day. The other one could be just by a shift in perspective, be like, okay, it's time to hit the gym. It's time to hit the gym. So you can see how two different people, same situation, different perspective leads to different results. And I feel like you always see that, bro. People, twins, that their parents were alcoholics. One of them becomes homeless, another one becomes a millionaire. But you can't talk about genetics here. You can't talk about these things, you can't
even talk about your bringing up, because both
of them were the same parents. They had the same genetical
mindset.
But they took two different decisions.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where the change comes from. Say you want to start a new habit. It starts with a decision. Mm-hmm. And all decisions are driven by pain and pleasure. So if you can check that with yourself, whatever decision you take on a daily basis comes from these two things. I learned that from Tony Robbins, the book Awaken the Giant Within. And tell us
more about that, because it's really interesting how all your decisions in life come from pain or pleasure.
Think about any decision you took today, or any time in your life.
Let's put myself in case study. So today, I decided to actually start vlogging.
Why?
So I can post it on my YouTube channel.
Okay, and then you start asking yourself why, and you get always the same, as either pain or pleasure.
Yes,
it's always going to lead up to this. So I feel like every decision you take, okay, you're feeling anxious, you started eating some McDonald's. It was trying to ease the pain. Mm-hmm. So you were trying to
take the pain down.
Yeah, take the pain down. You want to go out with your friends and partying. You want to gain pleasure.
Yes.
So now the game of life becomes tweaking pleasure and pain to your advantage. That's the game of life, and whatever you want to do. So say, okay, so you want to start a new habit. There's 3 steps. First, you need to set a reminder. Say you want to go to the gym. Literally take your phone, put the alarm. I'm going to the gym at that time, at that location. That will make you literally 43% more likely to go to the gym. That's the first thing. Second thing, perform the action, the habit you want to do. And then after, the most important step that will make it stick is giving yourself a reward. And you made a video about this, I still remember.
Yes. I think if you have a reward, more likely you're going to do it.
Exactly. More likely you're going to stick to it. So say, for example, my reward is, and to a lot of people that's going to sound crazy, I do my morning routine, and my reward after it is that I eat. That's my reward. And most people, they start their day eating. No, bro, you should do something,
Mm.
and your reward should be the food.
Yes.
So my reward is the food. So now I don't have to force myself, and I'm not in a going against the river when I'm trying to do it. It just happens, bro. It's like brushing your teeth. I wake up, make my bed, meditate, get it done, then I eat, and that's my reward. So figure out first what it is you want to do, set a reminder, perform the habit, and then give yourself a reward. And you'll see anything that you do, you'll do it much more consistently. And I feel like also what really helps is having a calendar, and it's called what's his name? I can't remember. It said like a comedian. He said this technique. Someone came up to him and he said, "How can I write better jokes?" And he said, "What you're gonna do is you're gonna take a calendar. You have every day of the week, of the month. You stick it in front of your bed, and every time you perform the habit, you check it off. And our mind is driven by progress. So the moment you start seeing check. Okay, I checked 2 days. Okay, let me do one more. Then you see much more progress. So I feel like that really helped me out. And yeah.
Basically, visually, you're able to when you're visually able to see your progress, it makes a lot more sense. But at the same time, an opposite of that would be for people going to the gym. When they don't see that visual progress, you need to focus on the matrix as well. For example, check your weight every single time. And I think taking those small steps as well. In terms of the routine, there's a big kind of myth about, you should have a morning routine like yourself or myself in order to be successful. That's where most people go wrong. And that's where kind of the stigma of this kind of why a routine doesn't work comes from. I think an important lesson there is also that build a routine upon what you enjoy and what benefits you. It doesn't have to be waking up at 6 o'clock. If you're a morning person, you can wake up. If you're not a morning person, you can wake up at 9 o'clock. Yeah. So that's something important. And also one more thing I wanted to mention is that what you mentioned about routine is scientifically proven. That I've also seen a video that if you don't have a routine, your life will feel unorganized. And so just following a morning routine or even just a routine throughout the day gives you a lot more structure in your life. And so I really agree with that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was thoughts from what we just spoken about. That your thoughts actually come with no emotions, and you actually apply those emotions depending on how your mindset is and how your upbringing is. But when you live a realistic life, sometimes do you think it's difficult to be aware of your thoughts, and you sometimes end up going into the wrong side and the side you don't want to go, but you just keep going to that, and then you start blaming yourself again, be like, no, I can't be a great person. How have you ever experienced that? Can you rephrase that? I didn't get. Let's say you want to be a positive person. Okay. You want to talk to people nicely. You want to just be nice to every single one. All right. But then you end up having this conversation to someone and it triggers you. Mm. And now you're going to be negative to other people because you're triggered in your head as well. So you're just having a bad day and you start being negative to everyone. So have you experienced that? 100%. Everyone has experienced that. And I would be a liar if I just stood there and said, nah, I'm always positive. I'm always calm. No, bro. Sometimes, much less than before, I get triggered on some things, especially with what I told you, my mom and stuff. I feel like when it does happen, after it happens, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, is that how I really want to continue? And then it comes with a decision. And I feel like I read this book called The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein. Amazing book. I love it, bro. It came at the right place at the right time. It was perfect. And it talked about meditation, which I actually do, Kundalini meditation, and it talked about prayer and mantras. And it's at that place where you feel like you went wrong and you chose a negative thought and you were steering off the good path, that you take a break, a pause. It doesn't have to be long, 2 minutes, and you sit in prayer and you say, thank you, universe, for changing my state. I choose love instead of this. And at first, I used to pray when I was younger, but I stopped. And I feel like everyone does at some point stop, and then they come back to it in some way. And I feel like that brought me so much peace, because it's like a shift in mindset. Also, prayer is a shift in perspective. Prayer really helps you out from within. It connects you with something much higher and bigger than ourselves.
because I feel like our purpose as humans is love. That's the common denominator in every single thing we do. If you start asking yourself the question why, and you get to the literally the end,
It's love.
it's love. It's always love. And I feel like meditation is where when you meditate, you become less your personality and all your weaknesses and all your problems, and you become more love. And you become more one with you. So I look at Jads, but I know that within, I'm the same as you. You might be a different skin color. You might be from a different race, religion, whatever. But I know that within, we're the same. We're absolutely the same. And that's why racism is so dumb. So dumb. The fact that you think that you are better than someone and that another race is inferior to you just doesn't make sense to me. It's so dumb because the proof is that we're all equal. We all die at the end.
We all have
die.
blood within us.
We all breathe the same air. And how can you see yourself better than someone if you will literally die at the end? You're not better than anyone. And I feel like what really helped for me, I never see skin. I don't even see skin color. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I see you as a normal human like me. We're the same. We have the same problems most of the time. The same weaknesses. We're all in some way trying to figure out life. And I have empathy for that.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting there like, fuck you, man. You had never. And I saw the other day, I was with, I posted this tweet, bro. Even this guy's called Tony. He plays for Brentford. And he posted this racist dude that said like really mean racist stuff. And I posted a tweet about it, and I was like, I know what that guy did was wrong, and that is fucked up. But he's a young, immature, lost kid that doesn't know the truth of life.
Yep.
And I didn't say it in a way where I was like, no, I was defending the guy. No, I wasn't defending the guy. The guy, what he did was absolutely wrong. He said really negative, he said the N-word, really negative stuff, which Tony doesn't deserve. And I feel like a lot of people that go through racism take it personally. Even though I'm saying it, bro, I'm saying it out loud, bold. Racism is wrong. No one should do it. And before saying something, question yourself. Why am I saying this?
Yep.
But I think most people that are young, immature, lost, that don't know the truth of life, that don't have empathy towards others, that are just, they're confused, will say things that they don't even know. They don't even know. And when I said it, I just posted it and just, I said, teach him a lesson, but don't ruin his life. He's a kid, bro. And I'm with even Tony. I'm on his side. But I feel like those people that have so much hate inside, especially the racists, that have hate, that have so much anger inside, bro, you should show them empathy. Because they have to live with themselves. They have to live with themselves. The hate is from within. You can't get... from an orange, you can only get orange juice.
Yeah.
When you have hate inside, what will you get? Hate. So hurt people.
It's coming back to the notation of what you are is what you attract. And if you're a hater, just like for us, it's on social media. Like we post videos, even if they're educational or anything, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be negative people. And the best way to deal with it, like you say, and Garyvee says, empathy.
Yep.
Show empathy, and that will... You're not going from the bad side, but that will burn them more. Like showing empathy, they're like, "Why is this guy being so nice to me? Like, what did I said something wrong?" And I think that's where that's the advantage as well, because you're doing a good thing, but at the end of the day, as long as they're a hater, they will keep hating.
100%. And after the even Tony thing, I posted the comments on Twitter. Didn't even think about it twice, and then just left. Come back the next day, there's 1,000 people. Fuck you, man. Why are you defending this fucking racist? Yeah. Why are you doing this? At first, I was like, fuck, why are people hating on this? I was trying to be positive and nice, and I was trying to be on even Tony's side, but also showing some maturity and some, you know what I mean? And people started going crazy. A lot of negativity was thrown.
Twitter is toxic after all.
It's very, very toxic. And I feel like I understand where people come from. But there's the surface level of things where you're like, okay, this guy is wrong. And I would say these things even to myself when I'm doing something that's on the surface level of things. But when you go deeper into it, you realize, okay, if I understand that we're all one, we're all love, we're all the same, no matter our skin color, race, religion, and you understand that deep truth, then you start understanding where I'm coming from.
And I think you should only be against racism if it's coming from a adult, like a person who's over the age of, I would say, 17, because he hasn't really, if he's below 17 or 18, I would say he's still growing. His mind is still not even, because by the time he turns 20 or 21 as well, he will realize so much that all this shit is so dumb. Like, there's no point of doing it. So I understand the perspective you're coming from, but people just see racism as such a bad thing that they don't even look at the person who's saying it and their age as well.
And they start labeling you, especially me and you. I'm Arab, you're Indian, right? And I've got my fair share.
Literally labeled, like now.
Yeah, it's labeled. It's like
it's no one like you're a human, I'm a human.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're Indian, and I feel like the government. I don't know why sometimes. I don't know if you've ever seen this in university when you try to apply for a form or whatever. They start asking you all these questions, and then at the end, what's your race?
Yeah.
What's the point of this?
Race. Yes.
You know, and sometimes I ask, maybe there's some technical stuff. I don't know, but I feel like what I was saying. I'm Arab, you're Indian, and I've got my fair share of racist slurs that people have thrown at me, and maybe you have too. And I feel like before it was like, fuck, man, is there something wrong with me? Why am I Arab? Why am I not? And you start seeing yourself as less than others. And I feel like everything in your life is there to make you grow in some way or another, especially the negative stuff, the traumatic stuff, the things that you're like, why is this happening to me? Like for me, the bullying or the racism or whatever it is. There's always something attached to that where it's trying to make you grow. And if then people are gonna bash at this and gonna be like, what are you trying to defend? I'm not trying to defend anything. I'm just saying there's a deeper truth to it.
Yep.
There's something within you that you need to resolve. For example, me, the racist slurs, it didn't happen. It happened maybe once, twice in my life, but they affect you. And the bullying, at first I played the victim. I was like, why is this happening to me? Then I started asking myself, maybe it's me from within, I need to fix something. And at first it was like the thoughts of I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not. And then I started figuring out meditation, the Buddha, Eckhart Tolle, and his book, The Power of Now. And I read that and the transformation was there. So if I didn't have that negative event, I wouldn't have found the solution and improved as a human. And every experience of your life is a universal, it's a divine lesson, assignment. That's what Gabby Bernstein calls it in her book. It's a divine assignment that is there to make you grow.
Yep.
Especially the most negative stuff.
And even yesterday I was having a discussion with my friend that if your upbringing is not hard, you are so soft. And most successful people you see usually has a hard upbringing. And you learn so much from a hard upbringing than even you will learn after you've grown, because that pain you have gone through is what has built you, and that makes you resistant to all the other pain you will get as you become older as well. So I think that point really makes sense as well.
Bro, 100%.
Now I want to go to some topics about the books and the people you admire the most, and one of them is David Goggins. You absolutely resonate and love that person. What's that thing about him that once again resonates with you?
So as I was trying to find the answer to am I good enough, mental toughness came in.
And that's the exact reason why I want to ask, because Mentallygreat and David Goggins.
Mentallygreat, exactly. Mentallygreat is about mental toughness. And that's what I thought the answer to how to stop suffering. And I feel like the question in my life and in everyone's life is, how do I stop the suffering? And we're all trying to find the answers in some ways. And at the end, it always leads to one thing, which I will come back to. At first, I was like, okay, how do I stop the suffering? I saw David Goggins, read his book, got super, like, it's like a switch turned on in me. And it's just like, became a machine. I would go on 30K runs, 20K with no training. At the gym, I would literally train till I was it's very hard to explain to people that haven't gone to that place
Yeah.
where it's a very, very dark, not in a negative way, but it's like you pushed past
But I also want
so much pain.
at that point, I also want to ask, like, how do you go to that stage? Because I'm mentally strong in or when it comes to work and
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, but when it comes to something physical,
Yeah.
I give up so quickly. Like, for
Yeah.
example, we're playing football, my stamina runs out. I'm like, guys, I can't run. But it's like, how do you overcome that? And how do you become mentally great there?
That's when the self-talk comes in. And the self-talk is like, you're at a place and you push at the gym, and you're at a place where your mind, that's the 40% rule. That's what David Goggins calls it. It's the 40% where your brain is like, I'm done. I give up. This is too hard. And it's at that place where you start using your self-talk to motivate yourself. David Goggins says at that place when he's there, he says, you don't know me, son. You don't know me, son. And he starts pushing. And that's what I do. And even though it sucks, you're able to motivate yourself. So self-talk is huge. You have to be that motivator within yourself. That's why I train without music. I don't put AirPods in. I don't put headphones. It's been like that for the past 5-10 years. I don't know how long.
You are your own music.
Yeah, I have to discipline myself. That's the point of gym. That's the point of meditation. If you're there at the gym and you need someone to push you to get it done, you're not building your mental toughness. You're not building your discipline. You're not. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, bro, but I hate the music at the gym. It's so shit.
Yeah.
And I like to put my own shit. You can do that if you want to, but I feel like for me, the gym is more a place to train my mental than my physical. And so when I go to the gym, I train without music. I try to push myself to literally the limit, and I try to add 10%. And that's what I learned from the book of David Goggins. But then I found that mental toughness is not the solution to fix suffering. It's not the solution.
So you can be mentally strong, but you still not
fix
any problems.
Because you need to figure out the truth, the deep. So to fix anything in your life, it comes with a very deep self-inspection, self-reflection. You have to look deep within and start asking yourself questions that are hard, but that are worth it. And you realize, especially you and me, bro, we start realizing that in life, doing the hard things is going to get you much more than doing the easy things.
Yes.
And you're going to grow much more. And I want to come back also to the fact that you said about people that are very successful. They went through hard childhoods.
Yes.
We'll come back to this. But to come back to my point, so I thought at first it was if I put myself through the hardest challenges, then I will get peace. And I feel like that's where David Goggins has it wrong. Because the moment you put yourself in a very hard place and you're very tired, your brain shuts off. Now, the only reason why you got peace is not because you went through this whole training. It's because your brain was tired. So the thoughts weren't coming anymore. It was a bit of peace. Now, the thing that's wrong with that is that it's not sustainable long term. If you want to get peace and you have every time to run 40K to get that amount of peace, to get that small brink and small satisfaction of peace, then how worth it is it really? And I'm open. I can do all this shit, the mental toughness stuff, but I found the way that works. And the Buddha, the only question he had his whole life was, how do we make the suffering stop?
Yes.
And he tried different things. And he tried going on this place where he doesn't eat anything. And he became like a skeleton, bro.
Yes.
And he figured out this is not the way. And he started going towards, and one day he sits under a tree and he's meditating, focusing on his breath. And eventually the voice shuts down. And that's where you get peace. So when I said most of your negativity and most of your suffering comes from your thoughts, the moment you start controlling your mind and you calm it down, there's no more suffering. You're not judging things. You're not criticizing. You're not blaming stuff. You're just there, content, at peace, calm. And I feel like, I kind of like the Buddha, I was on the same life path of trying to find the answer of suffering. And we're all in some way trying to do that.
And I think every person has some type of suffering. No matter if it's Elon Musk or the richest man or the poorest man, we all have sufferings. And the way you said, the only way to overcome sufferings is to go to the deepest deepest level of the root problem.
Yep.
And there's a great book called The Secret of the Millionaire's Mind.
Mm.
It talks about how the problem most people kind of, like, he talks about a tree. A tree is your problem. Most people will take the fruits out because they think that's the problem, but they don't look at the roots of the problem. And then the fruits will grow again, and the fruits will keep growing. You will keep taking out, but you're like, why isn't this problem going? It's because you haven't taken out from the root itself.
Exactly. So I feel like when people are trying to change their habits, the main problem is they try to change the habit only.
Yeah.
They try to say, for example, I want to lose weight. So you go to the gym, you start working out, you're consistent the first week, then you stop and you self-sabotage. Now, if you look deep within it, most people, they're going to say, oh shit, I'm not consistent because I can't get myself to go to the gym. That's not it. You self-sabotage because you have a problem of self-love. So there's always a deep root cause. And the moment you fix that by asking yourself why, which Jay Shetty talks about in his book, Think Like a Monk.
Yeah,
you read that too,
yes.
I remember.
I still haven't finished it, but I have only gone through the chapters. It was really resonating with me, and I needed it in that time.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to read the full book. I think books, that's the thing, especially this, is that people think, oh, I have to start and finish. No, bro, you use the parts that you need most. It's like chunking.
Yes.
You can chunk it down. I want this part. I'm dealing with this problem. I could read that. It's 10 pages.
And I think in every phase of your life, you can go to the same book and something else, like you can resonate, as well as certain topics you will need the most in your life at that point. So you again go to that and read it, and your life it always gives an answer, and that's something great about books. I like
100%.
And I think that's why when it comes to books, you have read a lot of books, but I can see my book shelf isn't that big. But I think now I'm gonna move on to the 7 deep inspired mind questions.
Okay.
Now I called it the 7 deep inspired mind questions, but they're just normal questions. The first question is, what's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Best piece of advice? Meditate.
Nice one. I love that. I'm actually gonna, at the end, I'm gonna add one more question today because of what we have just discussed. I really love it. The second question is, what's the worst piece of advice you ever received?
Be realistic. I feel like that, because the moment you become realistic, you shut off all your potential.
And I think something we didn't discuss in this entire podcast was, if you're realistic with your goal for your TikTok, you would have not achieved 2 million, over 1 million. So we'll quickly also cover that story of how, I will go to a quick little story of how we actually first started talking. So I was on around 60,000 followers. Fouad was on around 10,000 or 20,000. 8,000 followers, right? And he reached out to me and he's like, Jad, let's be accountable to each other and set a goal that we are going to reach 1 million followers. I think it was end of the year, or it was just, we'll reach 1 million followers. Yeah. And you had a very, very short amount of, like, you had like, by this date, it was 2 months or 3 months, you need to achieve this amount of goal. And then we started making videos. And I still remember the first day when you made that football video. I think that's the first video. And my first video was the credit card video. And we both just looked at, like, we didn't even look at each other, but we were talking on the phone, yes. And we would just be like, holy crap. This is going down. And because of that unrealistic goal we had set, we were able to achieve over 1 million followers in 2 months. And
I still remember the day. I came up to you, I talked to you, I called you, I said, Jats, okay, I've set the goal. We're going to go in this together and hit 1 million followers by the end of the year. And at first, I still remember like it was yesterday. You were like, at first you had a bit of doubt. You're like, wait.
You know, I'll be honest, that time I'm like, yeah, this guy's crazy. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be hitting this. Like, I don't even know why I'm talking to him right now. But, you know, I'm like, and then I think the moment I started, I was like, you know what, this guy might be right in the sense he's talking, is that we kept talking on the phone for longer and it started making more sense. And after the first blow up we had, I was like, yeah, this is working. Everything he said is making sense. Let's keep going. And the more phone calls we had, and I think having an accountable partner is really important, is because there were times I felt down. Even when I was like I was at 900K, and I remember you hit 1 million and I was at 900 and I was stuck at that place. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I will hit 1 million. But then we had one more call, and we had that one call, and I was like, you know what? Let me just keep posting. And boom, 1 million followers came
It's
through.
so crazy because it happened for both of us at a
Yes.
very short time stamp.
Yeah.
I did it in 2 months, you did it in 3,
Yes.
and we weren't expecting it to be that fast.
No.
And I feel like most people, and that's what I want to really say, is that most people, the limitations you put on yourself are illusions.
Yes.
Are only illusions. And Michael Jordan talked about this. They're not even real. You're blocking yourself.
And that comes to like, you know, when like the realistic part we said, right?
Yeah.
The reason why we can't see us making £1 million or getting 1 million followers is because of illusions. And those illusions do come from your upbringings, but once you expand your mind, those 1 million, those numbers doesn't mean anything. And so I think you're really right. You can carry on.
It's all in the beliefs, bro.
Yeah.
That's why I called it mentally great. Because it's all in the mind, bro.
Yeah.
The moment you fix your mind, your life, bro, you could do anything. Like, I've gone through this deep development, personal development, where I tried to, as much as possible, become more positive, become more, and just open my mind to new possibilities. And the only thing that is stopping you is you. That's the deep thing. But most people, they always try to point fingers at others, always trying to blame others, their circumstances. Bro, it's not the circumstances. It's you. And it takes a lot of courage to just...
And it hurts your ego a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as the Buddha says as well, that once you fight your ego, your life becomes so much better. It's like you will never have the suffering you're going through, because one of the root problems, or probably the main root problem I also see, is that your ego is always there, and that gives you the most pain. But we'll get back to those 7 deep questions. The next question is, what motivates you to work hard?
I feel like always having a purpose that is tied to the highest good for all is what will drive you the most. Because if it's a desire you have, say you want to make more money, or you want to do this or do that, and it's only for you in an ego sense, where you want to be more famous or be more successful, or just try to, you know what I mean? And when it's only for you, it's not fulfilling even. Okay, you get the money, but what? It's not worth it.
How does one come with this purpose?
This purpose comes from a lot of introspection. Same thing. It's always the same answer. All your problems have the same answer. Go deep within yourself. Period. And a lot of people are scared to do that. But I'm telling you, have the courage to go even when you're scared. I've gone millions of times inside where there was so much fear, so much negativity. But the moment you give your awareness to this, it disappears.
What's the first step to going deep in yourself? Is it like a specific question, or just looking deeper in yourself? Like, what would be the first step?
Yeah, it's kind of saying look deeper into yourself.
Yeah, because many people think of like, yeah, this guy's saying deeper in yourself. How do I go deeper in myself?
No, it's about asking questions that will shift your perspective. Like a really good question is, why do I suffer? And you start asking yourself these questions, and you will start getting the surface level answers. Because this is wrong. This is not how it's supposed to be. My relationship, this person is just negative. My mom is negative. I'm not in the right city to make money. I have to be in this city. I have to have this team. And you go deeper even. Okay, is this even true? Why? And you get to the root cause. And now when you're at the root cause, it takes even more courage to say to yourself, how do I fix this? And I feel like it always leads towards a deafening of the ego and getting more purity within yourself. Like every religion leads to Islam, Buddhism, Christianism, they all lead to the same thing. I don't understand why they're in conflict most of the time, and why most people say I'm whatever and you're this, you should come here to. We're all going to the same thing, you know. So.
And that's one thing I was trying to explain, is that once you don't even have to study so deep to understand this, but all of them literally mean the same thing at the deepest level. And so I guess it's something we can't change in this world, but we can try and kind of share this message out there, and hopefully whoever's listening to this probably understands what we're trying to say as well.
100%.
Moving on to the next question. What's your definition of success?
I feel like it shifted a lot throughout the years. At the start, success was being famous, making money. No. And then when you start doing those things and you realize that that's not it, And Jim Carrey talks about this. He set a goal to make $10 million and he manifested it and it happened, but he was not. He felt like there was something missing. And he also went through the personal development where he made the money, the success, the whatever, but then he had to always come back to the spiritual development.
Yes.
And he came back and he read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and he had the spiritual transformation, and he became woke, enlightened. And it always comes down to this. So my definition of success is being at peace with yourself at all times.
I love that so much. Because I think if I could define success, that would be perfectly put. And I couldn't even have put in that way what you have just put as well. Because most people think it's money, but
No.
you get the money, you get the big house, you get the best cars. The moment you don't feel fulfilled, you will feel like killing yourself. And it's a bad phase you would want to go in.
That's why Andrew Tate, let's come back to Andrew Tate. He publicized and marketed so much this status thing. Get more money,
yes.
You'll get more girls, fast cars that will attract. Bro, how many celebrities, famous people do you see that are depressed and that have all these things?
And kill themselves.
Exactly. That's just the evident proof that this is not it.
Yep.
It's like getting, when you were young and you got a toy, a gift. The first week, you're super excited. I'm playing with the toy, playing with that dinosaur. Then you're super excited. The next week, bro, you don't even know, you don't give a shit about the dinosaur.
Yes.
And it's the same thing when you're going to get the car. It's the same thing when you're going to get the house, the whatever you think is going to make you happy. And then you always come back to that place. What's next? How do I
think I learned that
know?
1 million followers as well.
Yeah, and me too. Because you expected it was something so big.
And it was like 30 seconds of joy, and then boom.
Yeah.
It's like, now what? Now what happens?
Yeah, and for me, it's like, okay, let's try 10 million. Maybe at 10 million. No, bro. Trust me, it's like, if you're not content where you are, you won't be content where you want to be.
Yep.
And that's where gratitude is so important. Being grateful of the smallest things, bro.
Yeah.
Talking to you right now, I'm grateful for that. Because, bro, it's like we haven't talked in a while.
Exactly.
We get to catch up, and it's just, I'm grateful for this. And I feel like everyone should have. And when you look at someone, when you meet someone, you go to dinner, you talk to them. People talk to people like it's
like a transaction of conversation. Like, oh, what you're doing. Oh, so in return, I will get something. And it's like that. And that's where you don't really talk to the person. You're just talking for your own intentions.
Exactly. And I feel like we've all gone through this. I cannot sit here and say, no, I've never been like that. No, I have.
Yeah.
But I feel like you need to start questioning yourself. That's how your life becomes better. And I feel like you're going to figure out that there are certain things that are wrong that won't lead to fulfillment. And there are certain things that will. And when we said the question, how do you stop the suffering? The two answers that I found that were the most important in my life, reading The Power of Now, that's going to start the transformation, and meditation. You do these two things, you're going to see a huge improvement in your life. And coming back to the point where people are like, I didn't see on the first 2-3 days any improvement.
Do it for
Bro,
2-3 years.
If you go to the gym for 2-3 days, you're not going to become Hulk.
Yeah.
So I feel like stick to it, and you're going to see it's going to pay off at the end. Start viewing your activities in your life as a return on investment. And the more you choose the positive return, the better your life will become in whatever it is you do.
And it's like, just think about it. Just give your best for 1 year. Just 1 year of your life. Because I've seen so many people just give up in few days and they're like, oh, I can't get the best body. I can't be C-bum.
Yeah.
Just give your best in anything you do for 1 year, whether that's business, money, body, whatever you want. I think that's really achievable.
100%.
So moving on to the next question is, what was the hardest moment in your life?
Hardest moment in my life. I think it was the day where I got bullied. I remember everything. Usually you remember most your traumatic experiences because they hold the most emotional charge.
Yeah.
So if you say to people, we're old people, not us, because we're younger. If you say to people in the US, where were you during 9/11? They're much more likely to remember what they were doing and where they were at on that specific date than where they were at on the 12th of September. Why? Because it had so much emotion and so emotional charge. So for me, that event was like the tipping point where everything flipped, which I thought was negative, but then looking back at it, it's like it was the best thing that could have happened.
Yep.
And most people that went through traumatic shit say the same thing. They said, look, at the start it looked negative, but then if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have improved. I wouldn't have. And for the people, I want to come back to the question where you said about successful people that have a hard upbringing.
Yeah.
If I analyze my whole life, the most successful people, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Cristiano Ronaldo, you look at all of them. And I'm trying to see what are the similarities they have. Because they say success leaves clues. I want to see what are these clues. So I'm looking, trying to find and hard work, consistency, discipline, mindset, winner mindset, competitive spirit. Okay, but then you start looking deeper and you start seeing Michael Jackson, his dad put him through so much trauma and didn't let him live a normal childhood, but just impose onto him this fact that if you don't perform at the highest level and you don't create perfection, you're not good enough. And you start looking at Michael Jordan, same thing with his dad. You start looking at the most successful people. They have all the same, they all went through trauma, all of them. And you start realizing that, holy shit, maybe their success was a way to hide the pain.
Yep.
And I feel like me and you, our whole life, we've been chasing success. And
I think this point is, as much as I don't want to kind of take it in, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I guess, why am I doing all this? Maybe it's to hide the pain of what I don't want to see. And I think...
And you start thinking, maybe if I do get famous and get successful and make the money, maybe I'll be good enough.
And I will also give you an answer. My answer to what's the hardest moment in your life. It was after I achieved what I wanted to achieve. And that always hurts me because I was like, I have everything I wanted. And now I'm unhappy. I have so many problems, this and that. I'm like, why is that? So I always think of like, am I doing all this? Is it all worth it? This and that. But yeah, that is a weird answer. But that was the hardest time I had, because I've had times where even the part where in my story, like when I went to Budapest, I came back, I was depressed, and I went to my spiritual journey and this and that. It was fine. But after I achieved what I wanted to achieve, the amount of burnouts, the amount of kind of depressed feeling I had, which I do this because, once again, I call it a rut more than depressed, because I don't think I've ever been fully depressed. But yeah, that's my answer. And that was great, by the way. What you just said kind of opened a lot of things in my mind as well. Moving on to the next question. What's your biggest regret in life?
Nothing.
No regrets.
Because if you look back, everything was meant to happen the way it's supposed to happen.
And it led you to be
who
you
are.
are.
If it didn't happen, I wouldn't have improved and grown from it. Like I said before, every experience you have, especially the negative ones, are there to make you grow. So how can you regret them? You know, I feel like regret is most people suffer mostly in their mind.
Yes.
Because they live in the past or in the future. The past brings unfulfillment. The future brings anxiety.
Yep.
And I feel like the secret to life is living in the present, here, in the here and now. And that's where I always point to, when people ask me, how are you so calm? How don't you never get... It's very rare to get me stressed about something or angry, or it's rare. It does happen, but it's rare. I point always at Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, Ram Dass, Be Here Now, all these spiritual teachers, because they've opened the door to me, to this. Because my whole life, the question has been, how do I stop the suffering? And they showed me the way. So I feel like...
and there's a great quote in Kung Fu Panda as well, that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why it's known as present.
Yep,
and
exactly.
That really, really, like, kids watch it, but once you grow up, you kind of understand it. Like, what was the best way to be happier is live now. Because I could be talking to you, but I could be thinking about something else, and that doesn't fulfill me as well.
Exactly.
So
I think mindfulness, meditation, presence, these are the answers to all your problems.
Yes.
All of them, literally. And I feel like my personal development journey was always leading to this.
Yeah.
I went through all the failures, all this success,
so
to
there is
lead
no regret.
me to this. And I feel all of us are that way. If you look at the most successful people, bro, they've achieved the success, the fame, Jim Carrey, always leads to spiritual development. And if you don't, you're gonna...
It's always going to be linked in some form of way.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't, you're gonna hit that point of pain where it's either gonna be suicide or something else.
Yes.
And you look at the most successful people, Michael Jackson, he went through a lot of success, huge success. His whole life was a success.
Even right now, it's
career-wise,
like,
he's still remembered till now, and his songs have this huge impact on culture and people. What happened? So it proves the fact that happiness is not about attaining something. It's not about achieving. It's not about but it's a deep introspection within, where you start figuring yourself out. And the most important question you can ask to yourself in your whole life: who am I? And at first it'll come up, Jats, 23 years old, entrepreneur, who am I deep within? And the moment you start figuring out that answer, which you can find through Eckhart Tolle, Ram Dass, all the spiritual teachers, you will find a level of peace and joy and love that you have never experienced in your life. So, yeah.
Well, that I think many people will take and take from here. And I think the next question will relate, and you will answer something similar, is your top 3 books to help you unleash your full potential.
All right. And the first one, The Power of Now, I reread it 4 times. It's the best book I ever read. It solved all my anxiety, stress, depression. The second one, I would say, is Awaken the Giant Within, because I feel like it shifts your mindset throughout. So the moment you're reading the book, it's like you can sense the shift of mindset, and you just evolve, and you start seeing your limits, the limits you put on yourself, the illusions, and you start breaking them slowly, and it starts opening up. And the third book would be, I read a lot of books, so I don't know. It's like, because a lot of them are very close to each other. The third book I feel would be Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy, because that was the first book that pushed me towards introspection and looking at my sufferings and my traumas and try to accept them for what they were. And it showed me a different perspective. So I would say these 3 books. And I would add one more, Will by Will Smith.
Will by Will Smith.
Will by Will Smith. Will Smith, his whole life, he was trying to gain success, and he became the most successful person on earth. And he had all the fame, success, the everything you could get material wise. And in the book he says also, like you said, all successful people have been through trauma.
Yep.
When he was younger, his dad beat up his mom, and then he developed the belief that I need to be the one that distracts everyone to make them happy and content and happy, so that my father doesn't beat up my mom anymore. That's how he became an entertainer, because of his trauma.
And that's also hiding the pain you said.
Exactly. So the success, he was chasing success his whole life. Number 1, I want to be number 1. And then when he goes to the box office, his movie is number 1 in the world, $800 million coming in. And he's still like, why didn't it hit 900? So the moment you're chasing these things that are very, very, how can I say this in the best way that people can understand? And chasing things that are literally of no value, materialistic things, and you try to find yourself in them, it's gonna lead to even more and more pain and dissatisfaction. Like Will Smith. So then Will Smith, he went onto his spiritual development. He started meditating, reading Bhagavad Gita, and doing all these things. And he started figuring out, okay, that's the way. That's the way. And I love, what's his name? He said in a song, his name, J. Cole. He said, you went a long way, but you went the wrong way.
Oh, wow.
So you went a long way. Okay, you did all the success.
But
why are you still dissatisfied and unhappy, and you went the wrong way?
Well, how would you say you can balance both?
That's the thing that I've been trying to do. That's the thing I've been trying to do. And I feel like it's always having a 50-50 repetition of mindful, of presence and of doing. And trying to... And that's what Eckhart Tolle talks about, and Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey had also her spiritual development.
Yeah. You know, people like Oprah, Jay Shetty, these old people, like even Will Smith now, it's all spirituality. Like the deep thing is spirituality as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, why wait till you achieve the success or whatever it is.
When you can
want.
start with that.
You can
first.
start now.
Yeah.
You could start now, bro, and you could fix all this shit. And then, okay, get the success after, but you're already, you're good already.
And what's crazy is that it will cost you nothing to become spiritually successful. But the world has been told, and you've been taught in school, to become financially successful first, and then everything else. You see how everything is. And you also made a video recently about like how school is. They don't teach you how to fix problems in life, but they teach you how to fix take exam tests, this and that, but never yourself, never to look within.
Yeah, I feel like that's something wrong with the school system. There's a lot of things that they teach that are outdated. There's a lot of things they teach that are not primary.
Yeah.
And I feel like the first thing you should be taught is how to deal with yourself. Before dealing with the world, how can you fucking live with yourself, And I feel like mindfulness should be incorporated more into the school system, into universities, into everything, in the workforce even. Because, bro, the moment you're at peace, everything will flow better. You'll be a better person. You'll be more loving. You'll be a better... even for companies, it's an asset to teach mindfulness. It's an asset. Because companies most of them only think about money and profit margins and investors and whatever. Okay, bro, if you want to take it that way, take it that way. But I would recommend the mindful approach.
Yep.
And it's even going to make you money. So you're winning, they're winning. Just do it.
I think a great example is Simon Sinek. He mainly talks about how in a business, more than the profit, you should care about the employee, because as long as the employee are happier and they're not burnt out, they're not mentally going through a lot of stuff, the profit will come. And I think all of this down at the end of everything we spoke about, it's all about being spiritually awake. It's being spiritually awake sounds a bit too much, but I would say spiritual development and self development is a key in anyone's success life.
100%. 100%. And Simon Sinek, his book, Start With Why.
Yes.
Huge shift happened from this. Because if you think about it, before you start setting your goals, before you start deciding what you want in life, start with why.
Yeah. But most people do it what?
Yeah, most people start with what.
Yeah.
What can I get from this? The money. No, bro. Why? Why do I want this? Do I really want this from within? Or is it just society that put these goals in my mind? And, like you said. So, yeah, start with why.
Exactly. I mean, this was definitely one of my favorite conversations I've had until all of this podcast. And I think a lot of people will resonate with so many points, mainly because we're young.
Yeah.
You're 22. You're younger than me,
21,
right?
Yeah.
21. He's young, 2 years younger than me, but I feel like he's more mentally stronger than me because he just loves that kind of field as well. And I think I've learned so much from your videos as well, from your social media. And if you don't follow him on all social media, all the links will be in the description. It's basically Mentally Great on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere.
Yeah.
Everything's Mentally Great. And I hope after this episode, you are also mentally great and you will learn a lot from him and his social media. So thank you, Fouad, for once again joining us.
No, much love, my bro. I always enjoy talking to you because we always get into this. I don't like small talk. I feel like it's super superficial. Yeah, it's necessary sometimes. But I feel like the deep talks with someone you really connect with.
It's like a therapy.
It's like a therapy, exactly. You're both evolving in some ways. You get value from him and I get value from you. So I feel like it was I really enjoyed that. It's one of the best podcasts I've done.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate it as well. And I appreciate you coming on to this podcast.
No, 100%, bro.
And I'm probably will see you again in the future, again on the podcast. We'll have another conversation as well.
For sure. It's not the last time. It's the first.
Thank you so much, bro.